Hello, this is Rich Wexler from Vintage Annals Archive, and I'm having a fuck it moment. So let's begin. I have never quite fit in. I started doing this page, the Vintage Annals Archive Instagram, about 12 years ago. Been doing it ever since. I generally promote and post obscurity. We embed 30% LGBTQIA plus and BIPOC and any content of other folks that have been left out. One of our sponsors is Risk. Kevin Allison is our main coach, and he did encourage me today to speak out about who I am, to share it, and I think it was a great thing. I bring it up to also, as he's a sponsor, to highly recommend his coaching, his storytelling coaching, his life coaching, his podcast. I mean, hire Kevin. Anyway, getting back, and yeah, I mean, I'm a little neurodiverse. I see patterns in things that other people might not. I feel like I have a certain sixth sense about things. I can listen to a song and I can break down what's in there, and it could be like 5 other pieces of other songs, and I can see all of it. I can see I can see what's behind things. I can see the words that aren't being said loud, but hear them loudly. And through my time, to keep it very simple, I'm a photographer, and I for years and years I've done portrait sessions. Part of a portrait session is to sit down with someone for like 3 hours, and I would ask people questions. And through that, I just got I'm very curious about people. And after doing that for about 15 years, I wanted to kind of bring that skill set into the Vintage Annals Archive world and start interviewing people that I'm obsessed with, or that I think are interesting, or that that are just people that I love, really, people that are heroes of mine. And this episode is about a special hero of mine, Meryl Meisler, old school photographer. We're gonna have a page on the website all about Meryl, so I'm not gonna say much about her work, except to say why she's here. Meryl is here because she's, again, one of the most generous people I've ever met. She's kind. Her work is real and honest and authentic, and Meryl is older than me. Let's just keep it there. And I never imagined being older and being able to still be in the world as an artist, and that is Meryl. And Meryl has encouraged me and supported me every step of the way. I begged Meryl to be my teacher, but Meryl was a teacher her whole life and didn't want to teach. But she has taken care of me like a lot of people she takes care of, and always happy to bring people together, to offer help. And her work and who she is speaks for itself. So I present this as I would a recording of a loved family member to share with the audience. So please enjoy. We have a bunch of content on our website. I can't go into that all right now, but check out our website, www.vintageannalsarchive.com. We have a YouTube of the same name. Our Instagram is the same name. Please check it out. We have a bunch of content on our page. We have these deep dives it's educational. I've been a teacher for a bunch of years, 10 or 20 years. And so it's all this content of the kind of stuff we promote on the page. So please enjoy. I want you to meet Meryl. She's amazing. Please check out her work. Just please, I'm Jewish, and part of the conversation with Meryl is like talking to an older family member. And please, I want you to enjoy the conversation between us. Thank you. I was so impressed at how welcoming you were to me, to strangers. And I think that's when I look at good photography, you can tell that the person who took the photo has reverence and care and love for the subject.
Oh, thank you.
And I see that so much in your work. But also, I love that I love that you're kind of a badass. I love that you're funny. I love that your book has the word penis on it, right? And I like that you're just like, I don't care. I think you're, I would say, I looked this up before. There's a female version of mensch. I don't know what it is, but you're a mensch.
Oh, thank you.
In my book. So tell me about Miss Meisler is a bitch. Tell me tell me
Miss
about
Meisler,
this.
okay.
Tell me this. I want to hear the story of that.
Sure. Okay, I'll look. Miss Meisler is a bitch. It was okay. It's December 1990. I actually won a big teacher award, the Samuels Awards for Excellence in Teaching.
Nice.
Newsday, which is the Long Island newspaper, the one I grew up with, was coming and sending a reporter and a photographer to my classroom to photograph. I get there a little early, open the door, and there it is on the floor. A love note. Mrs. Meisler is a bitch. And it's and it's they used the paint. There was I remember I got donations of paint from a local paint store, and it's the same. The tables are the same color as the writing. You can see there.
Yeah, I can see the right end of that photo.
Yes, and they had wrecked and whoever it was didn't just leave the love note. They kind of wrecked some of the projects and things in the room, which are pretty cool projects. My homeroom students came in and helped me clean up very quickly. And I didn't see this picture until I was looking through my slides for the most recent book. And I said, look at that. That's great.
So,
I mean, I can laugh about it. And I guess I laughed about it then too.
Yeah. So did they know you were, they knew those people were coming to honor you? That
I don't know, because since I don't know I don't know who did it, and I don't know. Obviously the door was left open, or they used a car to get in, and my room was on the first floor, and it was an old printing room, like the printing room, and it was big, and my dad was a printer, so I felt right at home with the old printing presses, and it's to the right. When you walk in the room, it's to the right near the blackboard, and there was this love note,
So you taught art, right?
Yes, art.
That was strictly art, or did you teach other things?
I ended up teaching art, photography with mixed media certification to talk about health and sex education, because I was doing a unit about HIV and AIDS prevention, and you have to be doing talk about things like that. So my certifications in art, K through 12, and I really didn't want to do anything else, but I always incorporated reading and writing with
your art,
because it's really important.
Yeah.
Really
they would call
important.
that I don't know if they used this term before, but they would call that project-based learning, where you're combining a process and art. And I used to do that when I taught at the psych hospital, and what I felt like it was a trick to get them to learn, because they were making art and they didn't really since art was the end product, they were okay with the work because they got to do something fun, and it adds a level of fun in what I experienced.
And also my first 2 years of teaching, when I was teaching part-time, I taught in a program called Learning to Read Through the Arts. So I really, that made sense to me. And I know as an artist how important it is reading and writing and expressing yourself, whether it's writing for grants or writing your artist statement. It's everything. You have to do it. So it was. And when I taught in the school after I left Bushwick, which was a much more middle class school, when I would collaborate with a teacher in another subject, the kids took it more seriously, because they were getting a whammy if you're doing something.
Plus it's like two birds with one stone. If you can get reading done and history, you just save some time.
No, but it's also I believe in it.
Yeah. So there's two questions here, and one is, are you a political person, and does the art of the teaching feel political for you?
My activism is that with my synagogue congregation, Beth Simchat Torah, I'm part of a social activist group, and I figure out what I could do is write postcards. Nice. I write postcards.
How long have you been involved with the synagogue?
Involved, I think I joined is more like it. I joined after and around 2002 when I lost my dad. I needed a place, or maybe it was my mother when yeah, around 2002, I think, when I needed.
I'm sorry you lost your father.
Thank you. Or when just needed,
Yeah.
and mourning.
So can I gush about you for a minute?
Gash?
Gush, like
Oh, sure.
kvel. Is that another word? Kvel? Is that a Yiddish word?
Gush is good.
Gush is good. So
Yeah.
what I really love about your life is that I know, like, you're here, you are, like, with your friends writing, postcards, and I know, like, you just had a show at Fire Island, and I'm imagining also another version of you where you're hanging out with probably like 20-year-old, gay men in thongs, and you're having a party. I can imagine, I imagine that like, and it's an interesting thing because not everybody who's, I mean, I'm not calling you old, you're older, but like you live.
I'm
Like,
70 years old.
what was the first moment you kind of got really well known? Was there a certain set of pictures? Was it your book? Is it your story? You talk about when you had your first show?
I've had a funny career. I've always been showing my work, and I've always been doing it.
You have.
Yes, I never stop. Just this is more consistent lately. But I think probably one of the biggest things was in 1994. I had a 94 and 95. I had an installation at Grand Central Terminal.
Oh, wow.
Media, and it got covered in wire and a lot of press and this and that. And I did a poster for the Transit Authority. So that was like a high, that was a big deal. That really propelled. And then I got a pretty major grant from New York Foundation of the Arts I got two of them. One for my mixed media artwork.
Okay.
Where I was taking photographs.
Wait, hold on. When you say mixed media, what do you mean? What do you mean by mixed media?
I was some of my photographs, color photographs, I had made into Cibachrome prints.
Oh, nice.
I started. Pardon me?
I just said nice.
Cibachrome.
Okay.
And I started painting on them to illustrate the things that were in my mind when I took the picture.
What is Cibachrome?
It's a very expensive. It's very expensive. It was in the 80s, and it cost me like $100 a print for 16 by 20. And when you're making like $12,000 a year, you knew you could never do it.
How do you make it?
It was on a more. It's a archival print. One of C prints kind of fade. Archival print on an emulsion based paper.
Okay.
By Ilford, they stopped making it.
Okay.
And at one point I was learning how to print it myself, but it smelled carcinogenic. My background before I became a teacher, I was a freelance illustrator. I draw I could draw.
Oh, nice. I had no idea you drew. That's amazing.
Yeah, I even did books and things like that, but I needed a steady income.
Yeah.
Psychologically, financially, everything about it, I needed to have a steady income.
Was it more so that was teaching, correct?
Yes, so I chose teaching, and then I was still doing freelance work, and then finally I was getting grants for my paint, my photography.
Yeah.
Okay, you could just do so much. And also some other, as a teacher, I had got major teaching awards.
Well, and you also, I mean, it seemed like a big part of your photography was also your job.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing collaborative work with the students. My student work I did with my students was in the Whitney Biennial.
I think it's really cool is you shared a lot of stories about like ex-students or someone you took a picture of that you're now connected to. Like, I think that shows me that you had realized in that moment, whatever was going on in that moment, the person you were with had realized it was an important moment. It's the fact that they're actually trying to find you 30, 40 years later. Like,
it's not that just the former students are looking for me. We're in like this, they find it. They see their work on Instagram or Facebook, or kids, like run into them, they're grown-ups.
I love that there's a story here. I think that's a good photo when you're like, what was going on there? Like Grace is giving this like side eye look. This woman is upstaging.
You talking about Miss Meisler as a bitch?
The Grace Jones. I'm sorry, I moved on to the Grace Jones photo.
Okay. Okay.
And so what's going on here? What's this?
Okay.
What's the story here? What's happening?
Let me look at it. Grace Jones. Okay.
Okay.
It's 1978. It happens to be June 17th, 1978.
Okay.
It's the opening night of a club called La Farfalle, you know, a
Okay.
new club. And I'm there. The woman all the way on the, when you're looking all the way on the left with like kind of negligee holding a bear.
Yeah.
That's my friend Judy Jupiter.
And you've done a lot with Judy. I know you've talked about
It was still friends.
Nice. So what I love about this photo is, you know, it's almost like she's trying to upstage Grace Jones, who's giving her a little of like a stink eye or a side eye.
I love Grace Jones. I remember seeing her at a health club. She was like sitting down and having, but I didn't take a picture then. You know, it's like she's having a private moment. But around 2 years ago, the guy to the, when you look at the picture to the right, there's a man with looking to the side, his close facing. Judy likes to show these pictures off to people she meets.
Okay.
And the guy looks, and she was at Fire Island and Cherry Grove with some guy, and he says, "That's me." The man behind her, Grace Jones, the face is kind of made her. You know, like he was like the producer or something.
Okay, the guy behind her, the guy on her right behind her.
Yeah, yes, and that the woman to his right was also worked. They were like they helped make Grace Jones.
The woman, the like Dorothy Hamill haircut lady, or the one in the back?
Not Judy, the one totally
across from Judy.
Yes.
Did you get to like interact with Grace Jones so much or not so much?
She would have no idea who I am, but I occasions because I photograph her. I know somewhere I have slides that are missing of a Studio 54 when she's like up in a cage with tigers. I can't find that.
Better question: does something draw you to certain people when you're taking photos? Is there a quality? Is it more about like?
I think it's always something that draws me to this occasion. It could be someone. It's usually like something I've never seen before or something that looks very typical. I mean, I knew who Grace Jones was, and she's stunning.
Yeah.
Look at her.
So you made a point that when you saw her at a cafe, you didn't bother her, right?
Yeah, she was at health food club. I remember she was drinking like a carrot juice. It's like she was having a private moment. But here she's out in public more. And I just asked.
So what I love about what I also love about your work is we've talked. I mean, you had done a few. I've come to a few of your lectures or your presentations, and you talk about like consent. You talk about you don't take photos of people that are down and out, and that you have consent. Tell me about how consent plays in your work.
Okay, I mean that's just a personal choice. I have no. People are different. You know, I feel more comfortable asking. I feel more comfortable. I like having.
Always ask.
Yeah, I've always been that way.
But you always ask, or
99% of the time.
Yeah.
99.9%. You know,
I have a really hard time when I see photos, especially when I know there's no consent, and like I'm where you're at. Like it's not my place. But there's if you're shooting a parade, it's hard to get consent because it's 100 people. But when it's personal,
when someone's in parade, they're expecting to. Right. Okay, but even said that, it's just a preference. But some people are very dogmatic about street photography. It has to be candid. That's not.
All right, we're on the next photo with Gloria Steinem.
Okay, that was.
Tell me about what was happening here.
Okay, it was July 25th, 1977. And because I know because it's on my how I named the files at Studio 54, and it was the birthday party for Bella Abzug.
Okay.
Bella Abzug.
Yeah.
And I thought she was like 55 or 57. I thought she was so old. The picture of Flo Kennedy is in her bedroom.
You have one. You have a picture of Flo Kennedy?
Yeah, I do.
Was she at this party?
I don't think so. I don't remember. Okay. I don't have pictures of her there. I know I photographed Andy Warhol there and William Shatner. There were a lot of stars. I felt very comfortable going up to her, and I spoke to her besides admiring her because she was friends with a cousin of mine. I have a cousin, Barbara Seaman, who's a health writer and a feminist.
And do you feel like are you here because of your politics to a certain extent, or not so much? You're just
No, I was there because we could get into that event.
okay.
But I like Bella Abzug. I have many pictures of her. She was
Yeah.
out and about a
So
lot.
you were just trying to get a free pass and a few drinks.
I didn't drink.
Yeah.
No, I just like Studio 54 was a real scene to be, and there were a lot of photographers, and I was going out dancing. I was going out, and it was
Yeah.
a hot party, and we got into it. So that's why. And if there was an entry fee, it was very reasonable.
Will you add the picture of Flo Kennedy to this?
And I remember going to it. I mean, I remember because if I photographed it, but I was in Flo Kennedy's homes, apartments several times.
Well,
I remember she had a checker cab, the old checker cab as her private car. I was in her checker cab in the jump seat.
I have her book. I forget what it's called, but it's with her with her curse finger on it. Oh,
You just made me remember. Her T-shirt said bullshit, 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 bullshit.
right.
And I also was very impressed that outside of her apartment, she had plaques. She was the person in charge of the state of Billie Holiday and
Oh, really?
other. Yeah, just like really, I liked her as a human being,
Yeah.
and that she was in charge of their life, their life's
Yeah.
work.
I want to ask you two questions about your photography life.
Sure.
Has there been a time that you like use your photography connections to meet a hero of yours?
Well, I think anytime you go up to someone who you, uh, whether it's Andy Warhol or like going up to Gloria Steinem, like I went up and asked if I could photograph them, right?
Who of those people made you the most nervous? Who are you most excited about meeting that was well known that you went up with your camera?
Actually, I remember most recently was around 2019. The most recent time that I felt I was nervous was that Hillary Clinton was going to be the guest speaker giving a tribute to Rabbi Kleinbaum's 25th year at CBST, and I was
Okay.
allowed as the photographer backstage to take her picture, and I was just like waiting, and I
Oh
brought
my
my
God.
waiting for my camera, and I was just very excited and nervous and
Yeah.
scared to like get it wrong. So that was to me that was I remember feeling like nervous and excited.
Was it hard to actually take the picture? Was the nervousness so bad that it was like hard to get the picture you wanted?
No, I think I took a great picture of
Yeah.
her. No, I think I took a very Meryl picture of her. But I also one time I was invited to I met in I think it was 76. I met a photographer who was the White House photographer for the Gerald Ford administration.
Okay.
And he invited me. He wanted to trade my work, Ricardo Thomas, and invited me to come to got me a press pass to go to the inauguration of Jimmy Carter. And I remember walking in that when I arrived, I walked into the White House and I didn't have my camera out.
Oh
He
no.
introduced me to Gerald Ford, who was not someone I voted for, but I had respect, and I was like, it was emotional. Like I couldn't believe I was shaking hands with a president. I wouldn't
That's
feel the
amazing.
same. I wouldn't feel the same way if I ran into Donald Trump.
Here's what I want to ask. In terms of like again being a photographer, there's a certain time that I take a photo that is so I don't know the word special or intimate that I don't ever share it. I don't feel like there's certain photos. What's that?
I have lots of those.
I don't want you to share that because I don't want you to betray that. But do you have your own collection of things that are just for you that you've not even shown to people?
Tons. And also, I'm married to Patricia O'Brien, who's very private about it. Doesn't like to be photographed, and very private about photographs of her or us. So yeah.
So your identity, how do you identify in terms of I guess sexual identity? How do you fall into that world?
Well, I'm definitely, I guess I'm quirky or queer, and I guess,
Of course,
but
like
this way
that.
I've been dating. I've been with one woman since 1979, living together since 1980. So I say anyone who's in a for 42-year
That's
same
amazing.
sex relationship with another woman, uh, lesbian, you know, but I guess I'm queer.
How I mean, without getting too deep or personal, how has that been? How has that been in your world? How is that what are the has that been easy, hard, being
I,
in
I mean, I think my life was made easier by people before me. I'm not uh I'm not the first, or I didn't break barriers. Um I'm fortunate to have parents that had unconditional love, not that they would have absolutely preferred differently, but I've and I've choose people. I choose to be in open environments.
yeah.
At first, and teaching wise, of course, it was like really ridiculous, but we were, you just couldn't talk about your private life. Uh, but when they legalized domestic partnerships in New York City, and Patty she taught for 7 years, that did not like it, was going back to grad school and losing healthcare. It's like I was literally the first one to sign up for domestic healthcare benefits. Like,
Yeah.
so
How does it feel to you? How do you react when you hear that there's like laws that are being put in place to not allow teachers
horrified.
or even children to talk about that? How does that feel? How does that feel for you?
It's horrifying. It's horrifying to watch it. We're going backwards. It's horrifying. Yes, can you live like that? Sure, you can live like that, but why live like that? And it just makes
Yeah.
it's disgusting.
I've been a teacher like in different ways for years. Remember this? I'm going to use his name because I don't know how, he's probably 40 and his parents are probably not alive, but Daniel. I met this kid, Daniel, the sweetest kid. He was in first grade. It was Halloween. Daniel comes as a witch. And everyone and the other kids are like, "Oh, Daniel, why are you wearing a thing?" And Dan was just like, "I'm a witch." And I've never seen a kid so proud of being a witch. And he knew, and I knew that kid was, very queer. But I was like, you know, I've kind of dedicated my teaching life to taking care of that, which is why we talked before. If I can't do that, and I've done that at risk to my job. I worked at a psych hospital, and I like if I knew a kid was queer, I gave them resources. I said I made sure that nobody bullied those kids, and it's just it's upsetting, and I'm glad that you have been someone who's made people feel at home. I feel like people that are out there taking pictures of queer community and making images and letting people know that they're welcome and loving and telling someone they're worth love. I think that's like the greatest gift. So this is a good time to talk about the Marsha P. Johnson, another hero of mine.
You know what? Had no idea that was Marsha P. Johnson. Even when I took it, I took it as just a beautiful person on the parade.
Yeah,
But when I scanned it approximately, I think in 2018 or 19, I was doing an article for advice of my early uh, earliest photos at the Pride Parade, and I showed the picture, I think, to Paul Moakley, um, who's a curator at Alice Austin House, and also an editor at a photo editor bigger than for Time. He said, "That's Martha P. Johnson." I had no idea.
and getting to this time frame, talking about Anita Bryant, I have seen the movie Milk at least 30, 40 times. I'm obsessed with the movie Milk. I've seen a documentary about Harvey Milk at least probably 10 times. And in some amazing coincidence, I noticed that Cleve Jones was coming to Philadelphia to do a talk. He's all
Mhm.
about like
I know who he is.
yeah, he's all about unions. and he let me take his photo, and it was like, and I wasn't even that good. The photo I have of him isn't that good, but like, it doesn't matter. Like getting to meet Cleve Jones,
Yeah, it's exciting.
and he's like, when you look at that community, look at what I'm sure you've been connected with gay men. So tell me about like
Well,
that community.
Patty lived in San Francisco when we were dating,
Okay.
and she walked by and she was neighbors with Harvey Milk, and they talked a lot because they were both from Long Island. I mean, she knew, it was heartbroken, terrible.
What throws me off is that when people who hate gay men, especially like that, if they understood what gay men have gone through, how many you're in a, I mean, it's like COVID. You're in a world, half of your friends die. You don't know what it's for. You're scared, and then like people, like to me, that's the worst part of like hatred, is that you're hating people who have gone to hell and back, and you're just like, I hate you, and you're not even looking at them as a person. And that person has lost everything in the world, and you're still being a dick enough, excuse my language, to be like, you don't belong here.
I was definitely at that pride parade because I was so pissed about Nate and Brian.
Yeah.
Then I ended up really pissed. And then I ended up meeting through another girlfriend who was seeing somebody else in Florida, the daughter of the talent agency that represented Anita Bryant, but then his wife was unable to get. Life is so complicated.
My favorite moment in the gay fight is the pie in the face. I can watch that. I can watch people throw a pie in Anita Bryant's face, so like over hours. I've watched that clip of them throwing a pie in her face like more times than anything else.
And her granddaughter is engaged to a woman.
Oh, all right, we're at the picture. It looks like it's a synagogue, maybe, or it's a diner.
No, it's a synagogue. Mr. Katz.
No. Well, I don't know if it's Mr. Katz. It's the one. It's funny. The guy on it's the picture you sent me of. It's like a bunch of books. There's a rabbi. That's Mr. Katz.
The man with the white with the white suit on the right and a little cap.
That's Mr. Katz.
That's Mr. Morris. Friends. And this is the Mr. Morris Katz I met in 1977 because my cousin Blaine Rosner, who I lived in the same house with, worked at the Henry Street Settlement on Lower East Side. I was going to some kind of like art event that she and another roommate and their students were part of, some kind of thing. And I go on to Grand Street, and there's this little man with a sport, with a embroidered yarmulke and like a zebra shirt and plaid pants and striped sports coat and a bow tie, and he's in the corner giving out candy to people. And he offers me candy. And I had my 35mm camera with me that day, and he said, "You're a photographer." And then we starts talking that he's the mayor of Grand Street. That's his street,
Yes.
And he said, "You come to my apartment. It's like a museum." And I did.
Is that his apartment?
No, that's not his apartment.
Okay.
We were friends from like 76 until he died in the late 80s. And he liked to take me, I'd visit him, and he would take me around, show me off. And when I'd had my friends in town, I'd visit Mr. Katz or my mother or my father. They would go. And there was a synagogue around the block from him. I'm not sure. I could look up the name of the synagogue. I don't have it written down.
Okay.
But what struck me about that one when I went in there, and it wasn't a rabbi, it's just somebody praying. And I remember introduced my name, and I said to the man, "My name is Meisler." He says, "You're a Galiciana." I said, "How do you know?"
What is that?
It's Galiciana. Galicia, not Spain, but Galicia, a region that was now kind of part of Poland or Austria. It's the area where my paternal grandfather was from, Galicia. It's no longer known as that name.
Is it like is it near Spain? Is it like people of color?
No, it is. It's kind of like in what would be called Poland or Poland.
Okay.
And
it's still Ashkenazi based, more or less.
Yes, Ashkenazi. And I said, he said, "I could tell by the name. You're a Galician." I said, "Yes." I said, "What are Galicianas known for?" He said, "They're known for their sense of humor." And like I knew I have a great sense of. I have a great sense. I have a funny.
You have an amazing like the part. Like when I've been in spaces with you. I mean, I've been in at least two or three of your lectures. I was at the New York show. Like you crack me up. Like I think,
I cracked myself up.
but I think like I mean, we're Jews, right? Like I feel like humor is why we're still here.
It's part of the heritage. Yes,
Yeah.
DNA.
So
But said
maybe we could maybe
specific region. The specific region is known for it. I was like, whoa.
wait. The region you're from is known for being funny.
The people from Galicianas are known for being funny.
Are there
Well,
certain like famous comedians that are from that area, or is it
I
just
don't
more or
know.
less?
I don't
I
know.
gotta, I gotta look this up.
Yeah, it was like that blew my mind. But my grandfather, who was a Galician, he was not funny. He was somber, but he he suffered from depression. But he could suffer from depression and have a sense of humor. It's like he was not a funny person, but I know that I am. I know I
Yeah.
have a funny eye, and so that really struck me that he knew that much.
That's amazing. Like this story of Mr. Katz. Is there another Jewish story that is another moment that?
Oh, here's the best part: the story, Mr. Cat's story.
Yes. Can we? Let's go. Let's keep on Mr. Katz. I want to hear. If you have like 5-10 minutes. I want to hear.
I have a very good essay about Mr. Katz, and I will look it up.
Okay.
I could, if you get right, LAS, yes. It's like it's so.
I'll read it, but can you give me the live version?
The sense, the very yes, that Mr. Katz. I mean, he was hysterical. He kept kosher. But he was a carny. He guest waits in Coney Island for many years, and then he worked in the garment. His wife worked in the garment district. He always told jokes, and he had like little puns. So he'd have like little naked figures. You press him down, and the little penis will come and pee or something. He was hysterical. But besides that, after he died, it was a summer. There's a Spike Lee movie called "She's Gotta Have It," and it's about a really, really, really hot summer in New York.
Spike Lee movie.
No, it wasn't like it's in the second movie. He has a movie about a really, really unbearable summer in New York.
Brooklyn?
And that was this summer in New York.
Okay. Yeah.
Really, really, really hot. And I didn't know it. I mean, I don't see Mr. Katz all the time. After I got a phone, so again, Mr. Katz was my friend. It's someone who was like would visit. He'd call me up, Meryl, come down. Like you want to show me he'd take me to jail. He'd show me to the police. We'd go inside the jail. And then when I got to see the grant for American Jewish Congress, he was like perfect because like I was photographing his world anyway, so it was all good. And then there was this really, really unbearably hot summer. Okay, I get a phone call from my stepmother, Selma, who says that she spoke to a cousin of hers. Maybe it was like a second cousin.
Okay.
She found out a cousin of hers lost his father in the heat wave.
Oh no.
Yeah. And his father's name was Morris Katz, and he lived on Grand Street. So Mr. Morris, so it was my Mr. Katz.
It was your Mr. Katz.
It ended up being that we were Ganza Mishpucha, extended family.
I want to do there's one more part I want to do, and then I think we're good. This has been I'm going to say it's an honor, but I can't tell you how much you were talking about Florence
Kennedy.
How she is the keeper of, you were saying she was a keeper of different was it photos?
No, she kept the
music. She kept an archive, right?
No, she was because she's a lawyer.
Okay.
She was a I forgot what the formal name of it is. Representative of the state of, I think, Charlie Parker.
Okay.
And definitely Billie Holiday.
But she kept them alive. She took their story and she made sure people knew it, more or less.
I get, or represented their life's work.
Yeah, and I think that's why, like, I like, as much as I can, like I'm not in the art game. I don't know. I can't say to someone, I'd like to manage you. Like I don't know. I don't even want to get involved with the lawyer conversation. But for me, like I've also, I've chosen you. To me, one of my goals is make sure your work is out there. Whether or not you want me to do it, whether or not you've asked,
I want to now,
it's
I'm
it's
happy to help.
and I got to be honest, like when I post it on my page, it gets such a good reaction. Like
Thank you.
it's hard. I try to take care of a lot of people, and I'll be like, hey, I'll put your thing on my page. It'll get like eight likes, and I'm like, but when I put your stuff, it's like 600-700. And even to be able to know that 600 people who maybe don't know who you are or haven't seen your work now do, I just want to take, to me as a Jew, there's something so Jewish about, I want to take care of my you're more of my mother's age, but like,
Mm-hmm.
it means so much to me to share. What I'm so excited about stories is I want to share my family's story because I want their life to have meaning. I want to go around the world. I love taking pictures of people and volunteer. I mean, I do a ton of, half the stuff I do is for free because I'm saying to you, I honor your world enough that it needs to be documented, and it's so special to me. And people are so kind. Like it's kindness. It's giving people kindness.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, you're doing some good stuff. I'm happy to like. I'll make phone calls. I'm like, hey, I do photography. If I can help you in your world, let me know. I had a theater company and I didn't have a lot of money, and somebody like volunteered to shoot the show, and so anytime a friend of mine is in a theater company and I know they don't have money, I volunteer, and that's something like at a point now I'm actually making more money. I could charge $1,000 for it, but I don't give a fuck. Excuse my language. And I just think like, you're the keeper of these, your archive is the gift of all these people. So it moves on, it lives on, and I think that's such a honorable thing. So I want you to give a plug. What do you want, if people are listening to this podcast, what do you want them to find? Your books? Is there a show? What do you want to put out there?
My first book is sold out, and you can't get it for like hundreds of dollars. There's only like 100 copies of the second one. Please support the third one. So that, just I don't have a distributor, so I'd appreciate it if you bought it from any place that carries it, like the Strand or Mark Jacobs, or through me. I like the Golden Notebook in Woodstock. It's a bargain, and you will. It's well worth $48. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, Meryl. You have a wonderful night.
You too. Bye-bye.
I really want to thank you for listening to this episode. What a pleasure to talk to Meryl. Our next episode is one that's so exciting for me to be able to share. I grew up as a huge Muppet fan. I'm born on Jim Henson's birthday. I saw the Muppet movie in the theater when I was like, I guess 9. And one of the people involved helped change my life. That movie changed my life forever. And I've kind of been on what I call my Kermit quest to just help other people, bring people along if I'm going to do cool stuff. And I had the pleasure of speaking to Paul Williams, Grammy Award, Songwriter Hall of Fame, composer, president of ASCAP, recovery activist, one of the most generous people in the world. And he lays out so many gems of knowledge that I can't wait to share it. So this will be out probably within a few days or a week of this episode. So check back. But I'm hoping to release it by Wednesday, around the January 30th. So enjoy. Holy shit, what a nice human being. I can't wait for you to hear that. Thank you.